Okay, here's the latest experiment. It's the same motor that I showed before with the supercapacitors, only they're on the back side. They're on the receiving side of the situation, and I'm driving the motor this time with one AA rechargeable battery that is supplying this with about 1.33334 volts right now, and these are a better scenario than the supercapacitors because they discharge at the same voltage for a long time and then they drop off real quick. The supercapacitors, I found out, they're real great, but when they drop off real linearly. So your voltage on this particular motor, it keeps the RPM dropping off. You have to keep adjusting the potentiometer to keep the RPMs right. You need a voltage regulator for it. Change the wheel. I've got a wobbly wheel with a bunch of magnets on it, and I discovered through research that inertia has a lot to do with this. If you don't have enough mass in motion, it hinders this Bedini motor scenario. So I made a larger wheel with more magnets and more mass, and of course it's wobbling around because of the way it's set up here, but that helped it run at low voltages. The other thing I did was I connected the permanent magnet motor in here with the supercapacitors, and the supercapacitors are going right into this permanent magnet motor, so you get the feedback loop back into the system, into the permanent magnet motor. So it's kind of a closed loop system in a way. Now this will drain down, of course, this will drop off and drain on down, but I wanted to see what would happen, because when you do this, when you put energy back into this part of the situation, it's like reducing the friction. And what it does, it makes the wheel easier to spin because you're putting energy back into this, and it makes it go around easier, which will be interesting to see if it runs any longer than it did before. It's drawn about 40 to 50 milliamps right now, and these are batteries are 2100 milliamps, so we'll see how long this thing runs for. But this was an interesting little experiment. The supercapacitors were a good thing, bad thing. They will charge up real quick off of a power supply, but very slowly on the Bedini circuit. You need something larger to capture the radiant energy spike, the big spike coming off this thing, than these little supercapacitors. They're made for a quick charge, quick discharge type situation with a lot of energy through that, where the battery scenario is better for parts of this motor situation. Anyway, that's the latest part of this little supercapacitor experiment, and the motor is now running on 1.3 volts, 40 milliamps.